In this video I'm going to show you how I put this pegboard on the wall. If you're somebody that has raw studs in your garage or your shed and you want to spiffen it up a little bit and you don't know exactly how to do it, or you just want to get some ideas, then this video is just for you. Okay, here's some of the pegboard that I'll be installing here. Now I don't have 8-footers, they're shorter, they're 76-inch tall, but they're still 4 foot wide. Now the first thing I'm going to do is clean all the studs, get all the dust and cobwebs off, and each stud is going to get painted black. Okay, once you have all your studs cleaned off, you use your brush or your broom, clean the studs, just take some flat black spray paint and spray it over everywhere that the pegboard is actually going to touch. Okay, so when you're painting, you're going to want to use something like a piece of cardboard, a piece of laminate, or something so you can get up against the edge. And when you do your spray paint, you're not going to have overspray everything. So let's go check this out. Yeah, this is really going to help you out too when you're doing it. Okay, so now it doesn't have to be perfect, you're just going to get the front. The reason why you do this is you don't want to be able to see any of the old white looking studs from through the pegboard holes. You probably had a really close look at all your studs. You're going to want to get into the area, if there's any areas that have nails sticking out, any screws, remove all those screws and nails. Just beat that one back. And my pegboard is only going to go to this point right here. Up here is going to be raw. I'm going to leave it like that. You can see that I have the whole mirror thing going on around here. Check this out. I got mirrors around the door. I'm going to put pegboard here. And the cabinets will go all the way down here. The countertop's going to line up with this. It's going to sit on here, and it's going to butt this metal here on both corners of the window. Here's the other one there. Now let's get a close-up of what I've done already. And here's a couple pieces that fell out. I'm going to put those in. Those are actually sitting over here. So liquid nails didn't hold so well. So I'll do it again. I'll probably just put some nails in it just to make it happen. And then I'll have to notch the pegboard around this. I'm going right to the stud. But if you have a room that has drywall, you're going to have to fur it out off the drywall. You're going to have to locate your studs and fur it out. Okay, so here's some of the pegboard that I installed a few years ago. This is in the back room. Now, I have beadboard here as well. Now, behind the beadboard connected to the studs, I have plywood. So I have here is a piece of wood. I kind of left this removable. Now, you can see behind there, you'll see the plywood that I have attached to the studs. Envision that plywood being drywall. Everywhere there's a stud, go ahead and take a piece of wood, something like this. It doesn't have to be white melamine like this, as it could just be a 2x4 piece or fence board or something, about 3/4 of an inch thick. And you're going to have to mount strips of wood on top of your studs, locate those, get a magnet, and then you rub the magnet up and down the wall until you feel force, and then what you're going to be feeling there, you're going to be picking up metal, and that's going to be a drywall screw. Well, a drywall screw is going through the drywall and into the stud. So that's how you know where your studs are. So from there, mark where you feel those at, where your studs are, mount that on there. That's where you're going to be able to attach your pegboard to. And the reason you have to do that is because your clip needs some space behind it. You have to have a space for your clip, so that way it'll go back here freely and hook like this. Otherwise, it'll bottom out on your drywall. So that's just the extra pointer. Hope that helps. Okay, so I'm proceeding to lay out where some of these cuts are going to be on the pegboard. that's going to be this little notch here. And what I did was I put a couple little pry blocks here, screw those on here so that way it'll hold my wood up there in place while I'm putting it all in. Well, I have one piece in. So one thing you have to do, you have to be sure on your pegboard at the very ends that it's not flopping in the wind. Like over here, for example, this is flopping in the wind. There's no stud back there. The stud's over here where the mirror is. So I'm going to have to put a fake stud in here, hold it back somewhere. I don't know, right about here, I guess. And that'll give it backing. So when you have your pegboard stuff on here and it's pushing down, it won't push in, it won't flex. It'll all stay solid and even. Alright, so I have to put a lot of these blocks here at the bottom. The pegboard is only going to go from the ceiling down to this point right here. It's got to flush out with the bottom. Now that's for backing. You don't want to put something up here and have the weight push in on here. So that's an important thing to do when you're doing pegboard. Over here on this end, my pegboard, this is the bottom, but over here it's going to go down to the floor. And same there, it's going to be finished all the way down. So now I'm going to paint it all. Okay, got one piece on. I still have the little blocks on here. You can see it's all screwed off. And everywhere I did a screw, I went horizontal. I put a screw as well. And it's real strong. Hit on it. It's not going anywhere. It's not making any bouncing sounds. That's it for day one. Okay, so I was pre-fitting the next piece, and I'm fitting it, and it turns out that this stud you're seeing here was warped 1/2 inch. What I ended up doing is I took a straight edge from floor to ceiling, and I put a mark on it, and I cut it off. And here's the warped piece that I cut off. You can see how it's supposed to fit right here. And also it's going to throw off my cabinets. I'm not using any adhesive, I'm using just regular 2-inch drywall screws. So yeah, when you put your screws in, just go like every foot or so. About every foot on center. Just make sure it's solid when you hit it. Shouldn't have any major rattles. If you have a rattle, just add another screw. I hope the pegboard video was helpful. Just remember to make sure you case out all your bottoms, like if down here has wood to give it some support. Make sure your top has support. Just make sure it has support all the way around. Screw it off and you should be good. Pretty easy to do.